friends. So let us talk about the color. What is the color? What is it? So first is what is it the color? Then we'll study the uses of color. Now, what is the color? To describe a color, it is useful to refer the three properties like hue, chroma, or saturations. Hue is the spectral wavelength compositions of a color. Chroma or saturation is the purity of color in a scale from gray to the most vivid versions of the color. The most saturated or of a hue is most visible it at a distance, and less saturated, the less visible it is. Value or intensity is the relative lightness or darkness of a color in the range from black to white. So two-word descriptors such as light red or dark blue are often used to describe the light's differences. Some hues are inherently lighter or darker than others. For example, yellow is very light and violet is very dark. Then colors are colors are appealing. Then its combination of hue, chroma, and value. It's one of the instances that we call blue. Many actually be one of the several 100,000 blues. This possible has that the color researches over the years, and they have found it. The color appearing on a computer screen are only a portion of the color visible to the human eye. So now we will see one by one topic one after this. So, what the color is, then we'll see the color uses. So, it's accordingly we are going to that menu. So, as I explained you, we have RGB, HSB, and dithering. So, let us see about the RGB. RGB is many color monitors that uses the three primary color of light. So, in various combination to create the many colors we see on the screen. So, by adjusting the amount of red, green, and blue represent the pixel, millions of colors can be generated. Then we have a color palette editor exit with labels like RGB. Then next is HSB. Some palette editor use a convention based on Munsell method of color notation called as HSB, like hue, saturation, and value. But that is various combination to produce different colors. And the last is dithering. The eyes is never steady. Instead of tremblling slightly as we see. If the pixels of different colors are placed next to each other, this tremor combines the two colors into the third color. So this is referred as dithering and sometimes texture mapping. And taking the advantage of phenomenon, a political illusion or a third color can be created on a screen. Dither, uh, Dithering is often used to create a grayscale when only black and white pixels are available to work with. Then you have the color uses. So color uses as a formatting aid. So as a formatting aid, a color can provide a better structure and meaningful to a string. It can help to understand what does and does not go together. Color is especially useful when large amounts of information must be included on screen and spacing into different components is problematic. Color can also be replace highlights as a meaning of calling attention to information. It is flexible than any other technique because of number of colors that are available. Then colors or attention getting mechanism must however be chosen in the lights of psychological and physiological considerations. Then color as a visual codes, that is to identify one color code indicate what category information being displayed falls into. It has meaning to the screen user. A properly selected color coding scheme permits a person to identify relevant information category quickly without having to read its content first. This permits focusing on this category while the renaming information is excluded. So to be effective, color as a visual code must be relevant and known. Relevance is achieved when the color enables a person to attend only the information that is needed and easily exclude what is not needed. Then you have the other colors uses. So it is color can be used to for realistically portray objects in the world around us that must be displayed on the screen. It is thought that the addition of color increases the screen appeal and makes it more pleasant. Then you have a possible problems with the color, that is high tension getting capacity. That means same quality causes the screen viewer to associate or tie together screen elements of the same color, whether or not such association should be made. The person might search for a relationship and differences that do not exist, and interference with other screens. So the poor use of color on some screen will diminish the effectiveness of the color. Then varying sensitivity of the eyes to different colors. All the colors are not equal in the eye of the viewer. The eye is more sensitive to those in the middle of the visual spectrum, which is appear in brighter than most of the extremes. Text composed of colors in the extreme is thought to be more difficult to read. Research evidence of this topic is mixed. Then we have varying sensitivity of the eye differences. So varying all the colors, the eye is more sensitive to those in the middle of the visual spectrum like yellow and green, which appear brighter than those of the extremes like blue and red. So research evidence of this topic is mixed, like several studies have found that opacity, contrast and sensitivity target recognition eligibility and performance may not influenced by the color. Next is color viewing deficiency. If there is a blindness, color blindness is happen to be the people. Most of the not, but only one of the people is suffering from the color blindness. That is difficult for him or her to distinguish the color. So color viewing deficiency can arise. The person can argue with you that the color what you said was green, but you gave him yellow. So this is the color deficiency can happen. Then you have the color connotations. Now, human reaction to colors are formed in many ways. They can be due to the color associated or learned in childhood, or how to color has been constantly applied to objects and entities in the environment around us. A color used in unexpected way can cause confusion. An error signal in green would contradict the expected association of red with stop or danger. The same color may have a different connotations in the eye of its viewer. Then you have next is choosing color for category informations. Choosing colors for category informations is about requires a clear understanding of how the information will be used. So it is like about what uh, what information we need to display and which color to use. So let us talk about the categories. So choosing color to organize information or data display on a screen must aid the transfer of information from the end to the user. This requires a clear understanding of how information is selected and used. Then you have redundancy. Redundancy is never rely on the color as only the way of identifying a screen element or process. Users with a color viewing deficiency may not be able to identify a specific color when it is important. It is also important to remember that information on one screen may be used in more than one way. So therefore, developing a color strategy will always consider spatial formatting and highlighting. Then color, then we have the usage. So usage is designing for the monochrome first. That means designing the monochrome first. Design for monochrome first or in the shades of black, white and gray. A screen should be capable of being effectively used. So we have to permit the screen by people with color viewing deficiency on monochrome displays in conditions where ambient lighting distorts the perceived color. So if the color ever fails, then consecutive use of color sparingly, again and again use of the same color can lead to your high attention getting quality. Even only enough colors to achieve the design objective should be used, and choose your particular color. Don't just if there is a need of red color and you choose the pink color, so it looks not so commercial one. More colors increase response time, increase the chance of error due to the color confusion, and increases the chance of the annoying. So menu bar, for example, will always be located on the top of the screen. It is position and structure will identify its menu bar. So that is color code should be a redundant. Then discrimination and harmony. For the absolute discriminations, the pop not with the population, sorry, two good color opening pairs are red, green, and yellow, blue. All these colors are ex- except blue are easy to resolve visually. Again, be cautious using blue for data, text, or some symbols on the screen because it may always be legible. Then we have another one, comparative discrimination. If a comparative discrimination will be performed, a color must be correctly identified while other colors in the field of vision. So in addition to those above, colors should be chosen from orange, yellow, green, cyan, violet, and magenta. Then harmony. Choosing harmonious colors are those that work well together to meet without the sharp contrast. Harmony is mostly easily achieved with a monochromatic palette. For each background color, different lights or values are being established. So harmonious combination is a multicolor environment are for both difficult to obtain. Marcus recommends avoiding complementary colors, those at the opposite sides of the color of hue in one single color system. Then extending the viewing. Distinguishing colors may always be more difficult for any view. Long viewing periods result in the eye adapting to the brightness level. The brightness of the color should be adjustable and should be flexible with the eyes because later the eyes are going to be affected. So we have to follow some rules. Then there is a common meaning. So common meaning is about the actions. So the first is the warm colors, red, yellow, and orange imply active situation for that the actions are necessary. Warm colors are advanced forcing them actions. Next is your status of background. So your cool colors like blue, violet, purple, black, brown, or status information can be displayed. Now, expectations conform to human expectations. Use a color meaning that already exists. For example, red is stop, alarm, yellow is caution, slow, test, green is go, okay, safety, blue is cold, water, calm, sky, gray is neutrality. Or some type of implications of color with dramatic portrayal are high illumination is hot, active, low illumination is tense, melodramatic, high saturation, emotional, tense, hot, warm colors, active, leisure, recreations, and cool colors, efficiency, work, tragic. Next is the locations. The location first is about the central vision. The eyes is the most sensitive to red and green in the center of the visual field. If used in a view periphery, some other attention getting methods such as blinking may be used. Then you have peripheral visions. For peripheral viewing, use blue, yellow, black, or white. The peripheral of retina is most sensitive of these colors. Then adjacent colors. Colors that appear adjacent to one another should differ in hue, lightning for the sharp edge and maximum differentiation. Adjust Adjacent colors that differ only in their blue component should not be used in a differentiation possible. Then we have ordering and foregrounds. Okay, the ordering is like if an ordering of colors is needed, such as from high to low by level of depth and so on. Arrange colors for their spectral positions. The spectral order is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Then we have a foreground and background colors. So foreground colors should be different as possible as from the background. Bright white backgrounds should be avoided using of the harsh contrast between the dark red and the background. And the simulation use of highlighting and low lighting should be avoided. Used together they may confuse the viewer. So display techniques be conservative in using highlighting and low lighting so the simplicity and clarity are maintained. Then we have a background. Background color should organize a group of elements into unified whole isolation them for the remainder of the screen. Use color that do not compete with the foreground. The foreground must be subtle and subservient to the data. Then we have the dark background, use the cool dark colors. Cool dark colors visually reset, providing good contrast to the advancing lighter foreground colors. Blue is especially good because of the eyes lack sensitivity in the retina central area and increased sensitivity to the periphery. Considers the color at the extreme of the color spectrum. So we have the following background colors like blue, black, gray, brown, red, dark, and purple. Next, we have a gray scale. Now, in the gray scale, these color palettes for the fine discriminations, like the perception of the fine detail is poor with color. So the eye resolves the fine details far much better than black wet scale. So light gray is like push button background area, medium gray is icon background area, menu drop shadow, window shadows, and so on. Dark gray windows border. Then text in color. So text in color is not only visible at its black, but if the existing type ranges from 8 to 12 point increases or rather than 1 to 2 points. So existing type range from 14 to 24 points increases it to 2 to 4 points. So a type that will be too light will reside or even disappear from view. Then monochromatic screens. Monochromatic or one color screens are still occasionally found in a graphical system. They at the far subjective ratings of ease of reading, where the highest of green and orange light background screens are compared to the dark background screens, while no difference in easing of reading were found either. A green screen yielded red or pink for 35% of screen viewers, orange blue after ranges for 25%. So there is some conclusion that at standard viewing distance, no significant performance existence difference exists for the white, orange, or green. At far viewing distance, white is the only more eligible color. For all viewing distance, white is the best choice. Then consistency. Consistency is in color uses to should exist within a screen, a set of screen and a system. A person can sense the relatedness of color in space and over time, thereby linking elements not even immediately together. An identical background color in windows on different screens, for example, will be seen related. It will lead to a difficulties in interpretation, confusion, and errors. Then we have choosing colors for the web pages. So choosing color for the web pages, we again need some rules or some guidelines like how the color will display, how the color will affect, and so. Till now we have studied that how should we use the color for your text, for your as we study for the icons, we study for the text also. Now let us study about the web pages. So choosing color for the web pages is the first thing about the purpose. So color should always be used for meaningful purpose and acceptable uses, including highlighting or calling attention to information, grouping related information, designing selected links. Then there are Padlet. So use of colors that succeeded on variety of platform or browsers, there are 256. So the search on the color Padlet or similar tab will lead to these websites and presentation. The color should be carefully chosen to help the user to understand the content, to keep the page a well balanced and well read, to keep it graphically simple. Always minimize the number of presented colors. Too much colors make it difficult for the people to notice sometimes that might be really important and make it difficult to comprehend what color is used to aid in understanding the screen content. Always consider color in a context, never in isolation. One background color interacts with the other background color. Foreground text color and graphics interact with the background colors. Foreground color should be different as possible from the background colors. A contrasting foreground will maximize text legibility, and the background color should be organized a group of elements into unified whole. So, use dark backgrounds only when establishing contrast between the area of the screen and the main screen body. High intensity colors are backgrounds such as red, magenta, and bright green must be avoided, and short wavelength cool colors, blue and black, have been found to be a preferred dark backgrounds. Then the use uniform color in large screen areas is the same color load faster. They compress well and are in efficient use of the GIF format, the GIF format, that is graphic interface format. The smaller the element, the more the contrast is required between it and its background. Then we have the links. A selected, unselected, unvisited link must be distinguished from your selected and visiting links. Stick with the default colors of the blue from the links already followed and purple links not yet ventured down. When the choice of blue as the text color was a poor because of degraded reading ability, will well learn. So using non-standard link colors can lead to severe problems. Never display general screen text in a link color purple and blue. In this way, we have completed the colors.